Good morning and welcome for worship this morning out in, as we refer to now as God's living room, not mine. And it was very rainy yesterday. So I usually record these on Saturday, but I was hoping for better weather. So I got up early this morning and voila, it is beautiful out here. This is indeed the day that God has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. I'm usually at some beautiful waterfall or panoramic view of the mountains. But today, before I forget, hi, Mary Lou. Mary Lou told me last Sunday that she says hi to me every Sunday, but I never say hi back. So I want to take a moment to do that. Um, this is a Sunday in which we remember, of course, Father's Day. And we'll talk about that in a moment, and Indigenous Sunday, and we'll talk about that too. Um, this this is a time for us to gather our hearts and our spirits. I'm right downtown Bella Coola. This time of day, we'll be lucky to see any traffic. Mostly the crows making the noise right now. But it is a time that we can center ourselves, take a moment to remind us of who we are in relation to who God is in our lives. And we take that time also to remember the father figures in our lives that have encouraged and nurtured us. We are grateful for those who have nurtured us, have taught us values such as faith, love, the importance of community, have taught us about courage and resiliency and respect and appreciation of each other. And as with Mother's Day, I also want to acknowledge that there are some struggles on this day for many people. I want to hold up those who have been neglected or abused by their fathers. May you find healing. I want to acknowledge those whose fathers have died or are no longer a part of their lives for a number of reasons. May you be comforted. I want to acknowledge those who've been adopted or have grown up in the foster care system. May you know love in a special way. I want to acknowledge those whose fathers struggle with alcoholism, addiction of any form, and for those who struggle with other types of mental illness and health concerns. May you find family of the heart that nurtures you. And for those fathers out there who are single parents and struggle to make ends meet, that means financially, physically, spiritually, emotionally. May you be strengthened with your commitment of being a parent. We're grateful for all the strong men who have stood strong and loving in the face of very difficult circumstances and continue to be the best parents they possibly can be. You do so despite really challenging circumstances. There is no manual on how to be a dad, but you do it well. And for that, we are so grateful. And may you be encouraged by your children and your family and friends who support you in all that you do. So we honor Father's Day and are grateful for the fathers in our lives. I know I am. So I want to call us together to say the Creator calls us into community, young, old, women, men, mothers, fathers, children. Christ calls us to the great circle of life, to live and to love, to dance and to be still. The Spirit calls us to community, to learn and to teach, to heal and to be healed. The Sacred One calls us to circle. And we love and live into our call, each one of us. So let's give thanks for God who gathers us in the middle, at the crossroads, at the edge of the sacred circle. I want to open with a prayer. Many of you know the works of Richard Wagamese Embers. He does some beautiful work in this. And I want to open us with a prayer. For you today, my friends, I raise my sacred smoke. For you who are troubled, confused, doubtful, lonely, afraid, addicted, unwell, bothered, or alone, I raise my sacred smoke. For those of you in sorrow, grief, or pain, I raise sacred smoke for those who work for people, for change, for spiritual evolution, for the upward and outward growth of our common humanity and the well-being of our planet. I raise sacred smoke for those of you in joy, in the glow of small or great triumphs, who live in love, faith, and courage, and respect. I raise sacred smoke, and in that act of all of this, I raise it also for myself. Why? Amen. So our theme today is around sharing stories. And I've talked about this a bit before, just touched on it. But I want us to really focus on it today, about our stories. I will introduce to you in a moment the totem pole that's behind me. What I know is that we celebrate Indigenous Day this day, not in a way that lessens anyone else, but lifts up this amazing community. And despite all that has happened, or maybe partially because of, they have managed to continue to grow, reclaim their culture, relearn and retell the stories that are sacred to them. And the Nuxalk community is no exception to that. And if it weren't so early in the morning, I'd hope to have someone join me this morning to share that from the Nuxalk perspective. So that didn't happen, but what I think we'll do is I just want to acknowledge that for the Indigenous people of this land, they relied on their tradition of storytelling. The lessons and knowledge and sacredness was passed on through those stories, and that through residential school and smallpox, sadly, a lot of those stories had been lost. But many are being reclaimed, and the strength of who the Nuxalk are has certainly, from stories I'm hearing, have been increased throughout this time. So I just want to take a moment I'm actually going to go over to the plaque. Let's see how I should do this. No, I can't always see what you're seeing, so I'm going to do this and just read it. The totem pole story. The story of the pole is reflective of the experience of the residential school survivors and their community and bears a striking similarity to the Newhawk creation story. The mother sits at the base of the pole, and above her are 4 children. Those right side up are the children who managed to escape going to the schools, often accompanying their parents into areas the Indian agents couldn't reach, such as South Bannock and Kimsquit. The government and church couldn't assimilate the adults because the culture was too strong. So they went after the children. These are the upside down children who were taken away to the school and forced to abandon their tradition. Above the children is the father, who is upside down, without a mouth. This is to represent the turmoil of life without a voice, as a residential school tore apart families and left parents without the power to speak for their children. The blank space above the father represents how the residential school stole the culture, language, songs, and dance from the people and left them with a gigantic void. We used to live all together. Dances, bifocals are not helpful. We used to live all together, 10 families in one longhouse. The schools were meant to take away our collective culture by turning us into individuals and removing us from our communities. In the middle of the pole is sun flanked by 2 ravens. The Creator sent us the half man, half eagle, representing the transformation of the people as they reclaim their culture and language, songs, and dances. The transformation is taking place through our healing and reclamation of our culture. We are healing ourselves and moving forward as one community. And the 4 carpenters, I'm not going to try to say the name, I don't want to disrespect it, but you can read it there. And the 4 carpenters, I believe that is, and sit atop the pole, symbolizing the final goal of total forgiveness of the world and the chances for the people to heal within themselves. This pole is not meant to be a constant reminder of what happened. It's a reminder to keep working on ourselves, to keep working on our healing. It's a reminder that if we work hard on something, we will accomplish it in the end. I love that image of hope. So I'm going to just try to pan up as best I can. And at the end, I'll move back so you can see it more completely. But that is a symbol